What you are about to hear could completely change the way you see your own life, and I need you to pay close attention. If you have come this far, know that it was not by chance. There is a reason you are listening to this message at this very moment. Have you ever felt that you were different, that there was something special about you, but you never quite managed to fully understand it? Perhaps your childhood was marked by experiences that at the time seemed ordinary, but today make you wonder if there was something greater happening behind the scenes of your life. The truth is that you have never been an ordinary person. From the very beginning, God had a specific plan for you. Although for a long time you may not have noticed it, perhaps you felt lonely, as if no one truly understood who you were. You may have realized that your questions about life went beyond what the people around you could answer. And do you know why? Because you were not created to be like everyone else. You were chosen, and there are signs that confirm it. Some chosen people bear these marks on their own hands, the symbol of the letter M or the crescent moon. If you have these marks, know that your connection with the divine is even deeper, and this video is definitely for you. In this video, I am going to reveal the signs that were present in your childhood, signs that indicate that you have been set apart for a divine purpose. And when you understand this, your outlook on life will never be the same. Before we begin this journey, I want you to do 3 things. Like this video so that this message reaches more people. Subscribe to the channel so you do not miss the upcoming content about your mission. And in the comments, write the number 99, as that number carries a special energy and reinforces your connection with the divine. Now let us begin our journey. From the moment you were born, signs began to appear all around you. For many, they were just coincidences or common childhood events, but for those who were chosen, those moments were silent messages from God. Some children already display a different perception of reality from an early age, while others live their lives without questioning. The chosen sense that there is something beyond, something that goes beyond what the eye can see. Perhaps at times you felt an inexplicable peace, as if you were being guided by an invisible force, or perhaps you realized that you see the world with a depth that others cannot comprehend. That is not a coincidence, it is a calling. The Bible reminds us in Ephesians 1:4 that God chose us before the creation of the world so that we would be holy and blameless in His presence. That choice was determined even before you were born, and if you look back at your childhood, you will notice the signs that were always there. Some of these signs may have been subtle. Perhaps you felt an inexplicable connection with nature, as if every sound of the wind or every drop of rain carried a message, or perhaps you experienced moments of deep introspection even though you were only a child, as if there was a knowledge within you that could not yet be explained. And as we move forward, you will discover even more signs that prove that your path was set for something much greater. Since childhood, you may have felt that you did not quite fit into the world around you. While other children were only concerned with play and fun, you saw things in a deeper way. Perhaps you preferred to observe in silence while others simply lived in the moment. Or maybe you asked questions that even adults could not answer. That feeling of being different was not a mistake or a fluke, it was a sign. Often the chosen feel this difference from a very early age. While others follow common patterns, you question. While others accept things as they are, you seek to understand the purpose behind them. That different outlook was not a coincidence, but a preparation for your true calling. It may be that during your childhood you felt alone, because you did not share the same interests as your peers. Perhaps your ideas were seen as unusual, or you found it difficult to connect with people your own age. But what seemed like a difficulty was, in fact, a mark that God always uses in a special way on the chosen. In Jeremiah 29:11 it is written, "For I know the plans I have for you, plans for welfare and not for evil, to give you a future and a hope." If you felt that you did not fit in, it was because your purpose went far beyond the ordinary. Now look back. Have you always had that feeling? Have you always realized that you saw life differently? Then know that it was never a flaw. It was a sign that God set you apart for something grand. In the next moments, you will see even more evidence that this calling has always been present in your life. If from childhood you felt the pain of others as if it were your own, know that this was never a weakness. On the contrary, that sensitivity was one of the first signs that you were chosen for a greater purpose. While many people live without noticing what happens around them, you have always been able to perceive what others felt even when they said nothing. You knew when someone was sad, even if they were smiling. You felt the weight of other people's emotions as if they were your own. And more than that, you always wanted to help, always wanted to ease the suffering of others. That gift of empathy is not common. It is a gift given only to those who have a special mission. The Bible teaches us in Galatians 6:2 to bear one another's burdens, for that is the law of Christ. If you have always had that natural compassion, know that it is part of your calling. Often, that sensitivity may have made you feel overwhelmed. Perhaps you felt that you gave a lot and received little in return. You may have helped people who never recognized your efforts. But that does not mean that your gift was wasted. On the contrary, it was all part of the process of preparation for what was to come. Now, look back. Have you always been the person who comforted others, who saw the truth even when no one said anything, who put other people's needs before your own? If so, that is another sign. Your empathy was no accident. It was a divine gift, preparing you for something much greater. Since childhood, you may have had dreams that seemed more vivid than reality itself. Perhaps you woke up with the feeling that you had received a message, even if you did not fully understand its meaning. Those dreams were not mere illusions of the mind, they were signs. God has always spoken to the chosen through dreams. Since biblical times, He has used this medium to reveal truths, bring warnings, and guide those who have a special purpose. In Matthew 1:12-21, we see how God used a dream to guide Joseph about the birth of Jesus. This shows that dreams are a powerful tool of the divine. Perhaps you dreamed of something that later came true, or you woke up with an inexplicable sense of peace, as if you had received a silent confirmation that everything would be all right. It may be that certain dreams stayed in your mind for days, carrying a meaning so deep that you could not ignore it. The chosen receive messages from God in the realm of dreams because their spirit is more open to listening. And the more you pay attention to those signs, the clearer the path that God has prepared for you will become. Now look back. Have you ever had dreams that seemed to be more than just creations of your mind? Have you ever felt that you received warnings, answers, or revelations while you were asleep? If so, that is another sign that you have always been connected to the divine. God has been speaking to you, and as we move forward, you will see even more evidence that your life has a sacred purpose. Has it ever happened to you that you escaped from a difficult situation in an inexplicable way? That you were facing imminent danger and suddenly something changed the course of events? Or perhaps you have experienced moments of extreme difficulty, but always found a way out at the right moment. Those were not mere flukes. They were clear signs of divine protection over your life. The chosen are constantly guarded by God because they have a special mission. The Bible reminds us of this in Psalm 34:7. The angel of the Lord encamps around those who fear Him and delivers them. This means that even when you do not realize it, there is a greater force protecting and guiding your steps. Perhaps you have looked back and wondered how you got out of that situation, or felt a sudden peace when everything seemed lost. That is because your life is not guided by chance, but by a divine plan. God's protection does not mean that you will never face difficulties, but that you will never be alone in them. Every deliverance you have experienced has been a confirmation that there is a greater purpose for your existence. If that is the case, know that it was not luck. It was God reaffirming that you have a calling. As we continue on this journey, you will see even more signs that you were chosen for something grand. Since childhood, you may have felt an invisible presence by your side. Perhaps in moments of silence, you perceived an inexplicable peace or felt as if an invisible hand was guiding you through difficult times. That connection was not a figment of your imagination. It was real. The chosen have always had a greater sensitivity to perceiving God's presence. While others may have doubts, you have always been certain, even if you could not explain why. Sometimes that connection manifested itself through an unexpected desire to pray, even if you did not understand why. At other times, it appeared in the form of a silent answer to the questions in your heart. The Bible teaches us in Jeremiah 29:12-13, "Then you shall call upon me, and you will come and pray to me, and I will hear you. And you will seek me, and you will find me when you search for me with all your heart." This means that from an early age, your spirit was already tuned to God's voice. Perhaps you remember moments when, even without understanding, you knew you needed to pray, or situations in which an inexplicable peace came over you, as if you were being comforted in a way that words could not explain. If you have always felt that connection, know that it is yet another confirmation that God has a special purpose for your life. That connection is not ordinary. It is a gift. Now look back. Have you always felt that presence? Have you ever had moments when it seemed that God was speaking directly to you, even without words? If so, know that that closeness is one of the greatest signs of your calling, and, as we move on, you will understand even more what this means for your mission. From a very young age, you may have felt that you did not quite fit into the world around you. Perhaps you wondered why you seemed to see life so differently from other people, why your interests, thoughts, and feelings were so distinct. Why, even when surrounded by people, did you sometimes feel an inexplicable loneliness? That feeling of not belonging was not a mistake, it was a sign. The chosen often feel out of place because their mission is not to follow the path of the majority. God sets apart those who have a special calling, and often this means that their path will be different from the ordinary. While others are preoccupied with superficial matters, you have always sought something deeper, something that fills your soul. The Bible teaches us in James 1:24, "My brothers, consider it all joy when you encounter various trials, knowing that the testing of your faith produces patience, and let patience have its perfect work, so that you may be perfect and complete, lacking nothing." This verse reminds us that even the feeling of being different has a purpose, to strengthen your faith, your patience, and your connection with God. Perhaps you felt that the people around you did not fully understand you. Perhaps even in your own family you felt different, as if your way of seeing the world was unique. But what seemed like isolation was, in reality, preparation. God sets apart those he calls, molds, strengthens, and teaches them before revealing their true purpose. Now look back. Have you ever felt that you truly did not belong in this world? Have you ever wondered why your way of thinking and feeling was so different? If so, know that it was never a mistake. It was a confirmation that you were always destined for something greater. From a very young age, you may have felt a special attraction to stories that spoke of courage, faith, and sacrifice. While other children were enchanted by ordinary tales, you were interested in narratives that spoke of divine missions, overcoming challenges, and people who faced gigantic challenges to fulfill a greater purpose. That interest was not by chance. It was a sign that God was already preparing your heart for something grand. The chosen feel that connection because their spirit recognizes the importance of those teachings. Stories like that of Moses, who led his people through the desert without losing faith, or Daniel, who faced the den of lions without fear, resonate within you because they carry truths that are part of your own calling. The Bible reminds us in Romans 15:4, "For everything that was written from the past was written to teach us, so that through perseverance and the encouragement of the Scriptures we might have hope." If those stories have always touched your heart, it is because God was already planting seeds within you. Perhaps you have been deeply moved by stories of people who faced great challenges for their faith. You may have felt inspired by the lives of missionaries, martyrs, or spiritual leaders who dedicated their lives to fulfilling a divine purpose. This is because your soul already recognizes that your journey will also be marked by purpose and impact. From a very young age, you may have asked questions that left adults speechless. While other children were only concerned with the present, you wanted to understand things that seemed to be beyond common comprehension. Perhaps you asked, "Who really is God? Why do we exist? What happens after death? What is the true purpose of life?" These are not common questions for a child, but if you have always had that thirst for knowledge, know that it was not mere curiosity, it was a calling. The chosen are different because their souls are already prepared to seek the truth. While many accept the world as it is, you were never satisfied with superficial answers. You wanted to understand the deeper meaning of things, and that incessant search has always been within you. The Bible teaches us in Proverbs 2:35, "If you cry out for knowledge and lift up your voice for understanding, if you seek it as you would silver and search for it as for hidden treasure, then you will understand the fear of the Lord and find the knowledge of God." That thirst for answers has always reflected your calling to something greater. Perhaps throughout your life, you have felt frustrated by not finding all the answers you were looking for, or felt that no one else cared about the same questions. But know that this search is part of your purpose. God has placed that curiosity within you because He wants to reveal something to you that is not given to everyone. Now, look back. Have you always felt that need to understand beyond what you were taught? Have you always sought answers that others seemed indifferent to? If so, that is another sign of your calling. God does not awaken the spiritual thirst in just anyone. He chooses those who have a special role in His mission. Now that you have heard all these signs, perhaps you are beginning to see your story in a new light. What once seemed like a coincidence now makes sense. Every experience, every sensation, every question since childhood has pointed to a greater purpose. You were never ordinary. There was always something special about you, something that set you apart, and that was never by chance. It was a calling. God has a plan for your life, and everything you have experienced so far has been a preparation for what is to come. The chosen go through tests, face challenges, and feel out of place. But all of that has a reason: to strengthen your faith, your mission, and your connection with the divine. Now that you recognize these signs, the question that remains is, what will you do with this knowledge? The first step is to accept who you truly are. You are not alone on this journey. There are other chosen ones, people who share this same experience and who, just like you, are awakening to the truth about their mission. To ensure that you continue receiving messages that will strengthen your path, I want you to do 3 things now. Like this video so that this message reaches more people, subscribe to the channel to continue this journey of self-knowledge and purpose, and comment the number 99 to reinforce your connection with that energy and with those who share the same calling. You were chosen for a reason. Now it is time to embrace your purpose and follow the path that has been laid out for you. I will see you in the next video. May God bless your journey.